Okay, welcome back. In this video, we're going to go through these 4 steps, and we left the last one. We're going to connect to our database, create our SQL command, we're going to run that update command and reload the data from the database, see that we've got what we expected to have. Check that using phpMyAdmin and make sure the data's there as well. Alright, so let's start with connecting to the database. Now, previously we've been using the CRUD class, and I just wanted to come back here and review what this is actually doing. Remember, I've created this little CRUD class that just wraps around the most common functions that we need. The first one is, of course, connect. This is the line of code here that's actually doing the work. It's creating a new PDO object. So PDO is the mechanism, the method that we're using to connect to the database. There are others. MySQLi is the other one that is most common at the moment in 2017, but we're going to use PDO because we want to use an object-oriented style of programming. So what does this do? Well, it has these set of parameters. The first one is we can use PDO to connect to a whole lot of different types of databases. The one we are is of type MySQL. Where is the host? Well, the host for us is localhost, or for some of you, you might have to be using 127.0.0.1 depending on how your machine is set up. A database name, that's high scores. The char set UTF-8, we've talked about that before. The username that I need and password that I need to use to connect to this database on this host, and some options. Again, here we're setting names to UTF-8 so we can be Unicode compliant here. Okay, so we're not going to use the CRUD class right now. So what I'm going to do is just grab this set of code and I'm going to paste it in here. And we're just going to get rid of this and type dbcon. So we're going to create a new PDO object, not using the CRUD class at all. We're going to get rid of this options, make it as clean as possible. We are going to create each of these variables. So the host is localhost. The database name is high scores. Username and password for my local Apache server PHP is MySQL is that. All right, so that should be enough to just connect. Now I've got no error messages, so I'm hoping that means that this has worked. So this should actually have something in it. Let's try seeing what's in here. Alright, it is a PDO object, which is good because that's what we hoped it would be. Okay, so we can now use that to do some stuff. We've got a connection to our database. So part 1, tick. Yeah, that's a tick. So now we're going to create our update string. All right. So let's go back to phpMyAdmin and look at how we can do. Well, we're not doing an update, are we? We're doing an insert. All right. So let's go and see what that syntax looks like. So I'm going to use phpMyAdmin to do it for me once. Remember, I don't want to give it an ID, So that's going to be given. We're going to start with Pong, not Pongy. The genre was arcade, and the platform was all. So when I click on OK, PHPMyAdmin creates an SQL statement, insert, using the insert keyword, and there it is. So we can insert into this table these fields with these values. Because we pass null into here, it gets automatically generated. Let's have a look at the data. There it is, Pong with arcade, and I'll just come back here. Oh, I've lost it now. That wasn't very nice. Let's create another one. Excellent. All right, let's go with Pac-Man. And it's an arcade game. And it's on lots of platforms. Okay, so what I actually do is copy that line of code, because that's what I want my program to create. All right, so we're going to create our insert SQL string. So there it is. Insert into games, these fields, ID, title, genre, platform, these values null, and then we've got our 3 fields here. We're going to get these 3 fields from. Well, here they are. Okay, so we're only doing this if it was submitted. So we're going to take title from the get array, and we're going to put it in there. We're going to take genre from the get array, and we're going to put it in there. And we're going to take platform from the get array, and we're going to put it in there. Now, before everyone gets all excited about how great this is, I need to remind you again that this is very insecure programming. Okay, this is setting yourself up here for SQL injection. Let me show you what I mean. Let's just do it first, and we'll come back and I'll show you what I mean. So now we've got an SQL statement. Let us echo out that statement and see what happens. So again, the form is here. It's already been submitted. So I'm going to submit it again. Oh, what have we got here? Oh, what have I done? Failed to platform null get title. Expecting dash or identifier or variable or number in line 26. Insert into games. All right. Yeah, I can't do it like this, of course, because I need to put these in quotes, and then I need to break each of these and concatenate them all out. And it's really messy. There's actually a nicer way of doing this. All right. No, but I don't want to do that to you. Remember, I'm trying to make this as clean as possible. Yeah, it's not really working, is it? Okay. So we can concatenate all of these. We can actually make make it much easier for ourselves. Let's just put each one into a variable. title platform. And genre. Okay, and so we don't need any of this anymore. We can just go title, because it's just a simple variable and not an array. Then we can put it as part of our string, and the PHP parser will handle that. Again, not safe. Let's try again. Okay, so here we go. Insert into games ID, title, genre, platform, values, null, Pong, all, arcade. Oops, that's back to front, isn't it? Genre, platform. All right, so now it looks like this statement. Okay. So let's go to our data here and let's delete Pong. Yes, we don't care. All right. Because now we want to actually insert Pong into our, let's comment that out. Now we want to actually run the update query. So on our PDO object, which we call dbcon, we want to run the query function, passing into it our SQL. That should take this line of code, run it through this function, which PDO will handle actually writing into the database for us. Do you believe me? Let's see. So by clicking on submit this time, we should now be able to add Pong into the database. Let's go. We didn't get an error message, so that's the first part. And over here, if we refresh the thing, oh my god, it worked! Yay! Okay. That's good. So I can do another one. Let's go Mario Brothers. I don't know. Yeah, what's probably a, what is it, a side scroller? No, I don't know. I'm sure I'm going to call it. And let's say that's on the Wii. I know you all love the Wii. Submit. And now we've got another record in our database. Yay, yay. Okay. So now what we want to do is reload all of the data from our database. Now, maybe we don't want to do this only on submit. We want to do this every time, regardless. All right. So let's create a new query here. Let's call it SQL. SQL, and we want to just do a very simple select start from games. Okay, and we could run that, and this is going to be our our query, and then from our query we can get our games record set, which is going to be query fetch all. So fetch all is going to give us back all games in the games, all fields and all records from the games table. So down here underneath our form, let's just put a really nasty horizontal row in there and put a pre-tag. And here we'll put in some PHP. And all we're going to do here is give us everything from our games record set. Now this happens every time. The problem that we have is that we put this function inside our submit. So it will only make a connection to the database if we click the submit button. This part here happens whether I clicked it or not. So if we were to just come here directly without going through there, I'm going to get an error because I don't have a connection to my database. So let's take all of this code. Let's put it at the top of the page. So every time the page loads, it's going to connect to the database, and then we've got this variable now called dbcon that I can use anywhere. I can use it if I clicked on the submit button, and I can use it even if I didn't. So I haven't clicked on the submit button, there's nothing here. Okay, so we've got some bad news, but we do have some good news. So here's our array. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 records in our database. Okay, now this is something that we haven't seen before. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're missing a number 3. That's okay. We don't care. The IDs are up for the computer, for the database to manage, not for us. Tetris, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Pong, and Mario Brothers. Tetris, Space Invaders, Pac-Man, Pong, and Mario Brothers. Do notice here that every field is displayed twice. So we have the associative array version of the array and the ordinal array version. Okay. The one reason why we haven't seen that before is because in the CRUD class, we tell it to only fetch the associative array, whereas we didn't do that in here, and so by default it's collecting both for us. All right. Now, why do we have these errors? We have these errors because we don't have anything in the get array because we didn't submit it. But here we're using the get array. So let's cheat with that as well. So I'm going to create these 3 variables outside the submit button, and I'm going to initialize them. Oops. I'm going to initialize them with empty strings. All right, then if they click submit, we're going to get the values of them, put them in here, and we're going to use that for our update. But also, we can use these variables now just in here. And so if we didn't click submit, like in this case, we have blanks. And if we put something in, like, I've got to think of another game now. Let's go with Donkey Kong. I'm going to call it an arcade game. Ooh, I had one of these on a Nintendo handheld. Ooh. Donkey Kong. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got one of these. Oh, it was so exciting in the day. My gosh, look at those amazing graphics, folks. All right, I've still got it somewhere. It's good fun. Anyway, so when I click submit, now we don't get an error message because the data that was in the get array got fed back into these fields. And if we come down the bottom, Donkey Kong is added. All right, double check in the database. There it is, Donkey Kong is there. Okay. So this is us going back to the very basics. It's taken me 2 videos, about 35 minutes. Gee, I really hope that that helps you go the next step. Thanks, folks.